Hello, my name is Denise Walsh and welcome back to my channel. If you're clicking on this video, then that means that you might have some deep-seated anxiety, whether it's in the form of guilt or resentment. A lot of times this negative emotion sits so deep that we can't imagine life any other way. So by the end of our time together, I'm going to share with you exactly what to do and what to say to yourself and to others to heal from the bottom up, which basically just means from the inside out. Because once you start to heal your heart, it will overflow and impact the rest of your life as well. So before we get started, I would love for you to click the subscribe button and that little bell right next to it so you're notified next time I release a video. So let's first talk about guilt. Guilt is a sense of shame, a sense of anxiety about something that you may have done. So basically, you violated your own rule. You violated your own should. You should not have done something. And you feel guilty about that. And sometimes it's rightly so. And there may need to be people that you make amends with. And the first part of rectifying and healing guilt is to identify that you did do something wrong or hurtful or that something that maybe have negatively impacted others, and then make amends to them if need be. The second thing is working to forgive yourself. And this can honestly be the hardest, especially if you did hurt somebody in the process, right? So the line that I have learned throughout the years that I keep coming back to if I ever feel guilty or anxious about something that I did is simply the line that says, I did the best that I can with the information that I had at the time. I did the best that I could with the information I had at that time. Now that I know better, I will do better. But since we can't change the past, and guilt is basically keeping us in the past, all we can do is make amends and move forward, which means forgiving ourselves in the process. And you may have to say this over and over again, every day, multiple times a day. You may need to write it down and really process what you did learn. And now that you know better, what are you going to do better? How will you treat people? How will you, make life, be proud of yourself in the future rather than feeling guilt or shame? Now, I don't want to make it sound like this is an easy process by any means, but I do know that healing can happen. The second emotion I want to touch on today is resentment. So guilt is you violated your own shoulds, right? Your own rules about life. You did something that may have hurt others, but it violated your own sense of values. Resentment is often brought into the picture when someone else violates our shoulds, should nots, our rules or values. So somebody else kind of infringes on our space and doesn't treat us or does something that's against what we believe. And so again, there's not much that we can do to change the past, right? So what I've learned is resentment is often about forgiving others. So what that looks like is essentially saying they did the best that they could with the information they had at that time. I'm not responsible for if they know better, they do better. I don't know anything about what they're going to do next. But at that time, what they did the best that they could. And I think when you sit in that space of maybe even they didn't do it to me, it wasn't to hurt me personally, I just was kind of collateral damage for what was going on. And they, with whatever mindset they were in at that time, with whatever skills they had at that time, They were doing the best that they could. So resentment is about forgiving them. It doesn't make it okay. And honestly, you can decide if you don't want to be treated like that again, or if you don't want to be put in that situation again, then you make decisions about your boundaries and who you hang out with and all of that good stuff. But we all know that unforgiveness is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. When we forgive ourselves or we forgive others, we're the ones that feel freedom. We're the ones that feel peace. And so again, this may be something that you say to yourself consistently whenever feelings of anger or frustration come up. They did the best that they could with the information they had at that time. And now that I know better, I'll do better. That kind of thing. I know this is just a little bit like skimming the surface of these two heavy topics, but just know I've seen healing happen over and over and over again. So if you're feeling any of this type of guilt, resentment, shame, anxiety, this deep-rooted anxiety that has to do with some other people, make amends, forgive yourself, and work to forgive others because it's worth it. Your healing is absolutely worth it. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today. And if you're interested in 2 free resources that dive into this specific topic and the science and scripture that connects the healing process that you will experience, I want you to go to Dreamcast. This is my podcast. It connects science, scripture, and stories to take you from rut to revival. And then I also have a free PDF download called the Dream Life Design Map. And this is my favorite exercise that will help transform you from where you are now to where you want to be in a year. But you do have to start today. So put your information in, and I'll see you in the next one.